In today's video I've got something a little bit different to show you guys. I'm going to be showing you how I set up this Hillstream Biotope Aquascape for my Stiphodon Gobys. This is the first aquascape I've ever set up without any plants in, but I'm really happy with the end result. The scape is nice and clean and modern looking as well. And just before I show you how I set up this Hillstream Aquascape, if you can give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out a lot. The tank I'm going to be using is 50cm wide, 30cm deep and 30cm high. This makes it a 45 litre tank, which is just about 12 US gallons. This tank also has an opti-white front panel, which gives you better clarity if you want to look into the tank. I've also put a frosted white background onto the tank, which helps to create a sense of depth for the aquascape. I'm going to quickly talk about the lighting I'm going to be using on this tank. I'm going to be using a Twinstar 450EA LED light. Even though there's going to be no plants in this setup, I really like how the Twinstar light brings out the best colours in the fish. I made a video about the Twinstar light, so if you want some more information I'll leave a little card in the top corner of the video. The first thing I'm going to do is place the egg crate sheet onto the base of the aquarium. Since there's going to be a lot of rocks in this aquascape, I don't want all the weight to be pressed against the glass, so this egg crate plastic helps to spread the weight out across the aquarium. This is used quite a lot in marine aquariums which have live rock and coral. I'm just going to quickly show you how to assemble the egg crate. The egg crate sheet has little slots in that fit together just like a jigsaw puzzle, so you can stack them together to make a bigger sheet and then you can trim it with scissors to get the right size. This is a nice quick and easy way to protect the bottom glass of your aquarium, and also these egg crate sheets are really cheap too, so it's worth buying a few just in case. For the substrate I'm going to be using a fine gravel from Hugo Kamishi. You can see that this gravel has a nice natural look to it, which makes it perfect for a Hillstream setup. This gravel has a grain size of around 1 to 2 mils, which is kind of a good substitute if you don't want to use sand in your aquarium. I personally don't like using sand as there's a lot of maintenance involved in it. If the sand's not kept clean, the system can go anaerobic, which means bacteria will start to produce deadly gases which can kill your fish. So yeah, this is a nice substitute if you don't want to be using sand in your aquarium. The size of this gravel is quite good for burrowing fish like the Stiphodon Goby is going to be put in this tank. I'm hoping that using this gravel I can get some more natural behaviour out of them as well. I like to use a paintbrush to help spread the gravel out around the aquarium. I'm trying to bank up the gravel near the back of the aquarium. This can help create a nice sense of depth in the aquascape, which gives the illusion that the scape is bigger than it actually is. I wanted to add some more gravel towards the back of the aquarium just so I can bank it a little bit higher, and then with the paintbrush again I'm just trying to even the gravel out. Again, I'm just trying to get most of it towards the back of the aquarium to create a bit more height. In total I think I used about 6 to 9 kilos, I'm not too sure. The depth of the substrate at the front of the aquarium was about 3 centimeters, and then near the back it was about 6 centimeters. This might seem a little bit deep at the back, but the fish will help to turn over the gravel so it will stop it from going anaerobic. And also manually disrupting the substrate can help a bit as well. The stones I'm going to be using for this aquascape are Scottish River stones. The first stone I'm going to put in is the mother stone, and it's the biggest one in the scape. This stone is around 600 mils in length, so this mother stone is going to act as the main focal point of this aquascape. I'm loosely following the rules of the golden ratio, so by using this stone it covers about 2/3 of the height of the aquarium. This makes it appealing for the human eye to look at and not distracting from the main scape itself. You can see I slightly angled this rock. I've done this to emulate how water will flow over the rock and erode it over time, making it smoother. The next stone I'm going to be adding is about 400 mils in width. This is going to be my sister stone for the aquascape. The smaller sister stone is used to help to balance the larger mother stone in the aquascape. And now I'm going to be adding some smaller river stones that are about 80 to 100 mils in size. When I'm placing these smaller river stones in the aquascape, I'm trying to make sure the angles of them line up together so they all face the one direction. Like in nature, water flows in one direction down the river, so the stones will start to erode in the same direction as the river flows downstream. I was able to get a large 25 kilo bag of these stones from a garden centre. This gave me a nice selection of rocks I could choose to try and make the scape look as natural as I can. I'm just trying different combinations of stones just to see what works well. I like how round and smooth these stones are. They're not really used in aquascapes very much. Some of the stones also have some really nice colour on them when they get wet. You'll see when I start to fill the tank up with water that the colours of the rocks completely change. I think when I get around to rescaping my ultra low tech fish bowl, I'm going to start using some of these rocks that I had left over from the scape. I think it would go really well with some bogwood or some manzanita wood. I could also try a more traditional irigumi style aquascape for the fish bowl too. I chose these stones because they closely resemble the ones that I found in the Stiphodon Goby's habitat. These gobies really like rocks they can cling onto and graze algae off of, so these stones can provide a nice surface area for algae to grow onto. Now that I added all the larger stones to the aquarium, I'm going to use some smaller stones to add a little bit extra detail to the aquascape. This time I'm going to be using some little pebbles that are about 20 to 40 mils in size. These are just going to get scattered around the main big rocks just to add a little bit more detail when you look into the scape. These smaller stones can also help make the scape look a bit more natural. Like if you look in a river, the stones are going to be all different shapes and sizes because of the erosion. Also having more stones in the aquarium can help provide more surface area for biofilm and algae to grow into. Here's a view from the top of the aquarium. I thought it would be nice to show you a different angle of the scape. Sorry if it's a little bit shaky, I was using my phone to record this. You can see by adding these smaller pebbles around the aquascape it's added a little bit more detail, which makes it more interesting to look at. I'm happy with how this turned out. I just scattered them randomly and hope for the best really. And the last little detail I'm going to be doing is scattering some pea gravel around the aquarium. I'm not going to be using too much of this as I want most of the Hugo Kamishi gravel to be shown instead, but adding pea gravel to an aquascape is little micro details that can make a scape look a little bit better. This is something that MD Fish Tanks uses quite a lot, which is where I got this idea from, and it was such a useful tip. I'm definitely going to be using this in any aquascapes I'm going to be doing in the future. I'm not being precise where I put the gravel, I'm just being a little bit random, just scattering it all over the aquarium. I'm just trying to keep it as natural as I can. In a river these stones could be scattered anywhere, so that's what I'm trying to do here. Here's another top down view from the aquascape. You can see how randomly I scattered the pea gravel throughout the aquascape. I think by adding these smaller pea gravel to the aquarium, it's added a bit more sense of scale to the aquascape itself. It can help make the smaller pebbles look even bigger than they actually are, and also the pea gravel helps to make the foreground look a bit more interesting too. Now that all the hardscape has been put in, it's time to fill this tank up with some water. My hose pipe in my garden wasn't long enough to reach into the living room, so I had to fill the tank up with a jug. As you can see, this can be a bit time consuming because I have to fill up 45 litres of water into this tank. As I'm adding water, the stones are starting to change colour. Most of the stones when they're dry are quite grey and dull looking, but as I start to add the water and the stones start to get wet, you can see they're totally different colours now. Some of the stones have turned a nice pastel pink colour. There's also some pastel purples, blues and browns coming through as well. I think this is quite a nice effect instead of having one uniform colour in a scape. Using these Scottish River stones you get some nice natural colours, but in a few weeks time these stones will be covered in algae and look a lot more natural, just like what you would find in a Hillstream river. Since these Stiphodon Gobys can come from all over Asia, the temperature can be a bit different for each one. For this Hillstream river tank, I'm going to keep the temperature a little bit lower compared to my planted tanks. I'm going to set the temperature to about 24 degrees Celsius, which is about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. This lower temperature will also help to keep the water more saturated with oxygen. This is something that's super important for these Stiphodon Gobys as they need a lot of oxygen to stay healthy. When I filled up the tank full of water, I didn't realise the stand wasn't level. So you can see on the left side of the tank the water is a little bit higher than on the right side. Next time I set up an aquarium, I'm going to make sure that the stand is level so I don't have this problem again. Just in the corner of the tank I'm going to add a glass thermometer just so I can monitor the temperature of the tank. And since I put tap water into this aquarium, I'm going to be adding some dechlorinator just to get rid of all the chlorine in the water. I'm using glass lily pipes instead of plastic ones so it doesn't distract from the aquascape. For the outlet pipe I'm using a jet style lily pipe as I want to keep the flow as high as I can. Normal lily pipes can reduce the flow of your filter by a little bit, but by using a jet style lily pipe you can help reduce this problem. So I just turned the filter on and you may have noticed the water's gone really cloudy. Since this is a new filter and I wanted to cycle the tank instantly, I put some old filter media from my other aquascape into this filter. This filter media has a lot of detritus and organic matter in it, so when the filter was turned on it got disrupted so we ended up all in the aquascape. But in a few hours the water will start to get clearer as the filter gets rid of all the bigger particles of dirt and debris. In case you're wondering, I'm using the Awase Filter Smart Thermo 100. This filter has a heater built in, which means I don't have to put one in the tank itself. This helps with the minimal kind of look I'm going with this aquascape, and it also helps to keep it looking a bit more natural as well. This filter has a flow rate of 600 litres per hour. This makes it perfect for a high flow Hillstream setup. This will help also oxygenate the water, which is really important for Stiphodon Gobys, as I really appreciate their water to be turned over at least 10 times the volume of the tank. Just before I show you the aquascape with the water all cleared up, I just want to share you what inspired me to create this aquascape. This is a really old aquascape that George Farmer did about maybe 10 years ago now. It was a Hillstream Biotope Aquascape from White Mountain Minnows, so I used this aquascape as inspiration to create my own aquascape, and also seeing the type of environments that Stiphodon Gobys come from. This all helped me to create this aquascape I made today. These Stiphodon Gobys come from Hillstream environments throughout Asia. You can see the type of environment they live in is very rocky, and the riverbed mainly consists of large boulders. When the sunlight hits these rocks, biofilm and algae can grow on them. This is primarily what the Stiphodon Gobys graze on throughout the day and night. You can see from these pictures I tried to create more of an artistic style biotope for these Gobys. I wanted to create something natural that you would find in nature, and I think this is the closest I came so far. I think in the future I might rescape the tank just to see what I can do with it. I might try and scape it so it looks closer to what you see in the pictures here, instead of taking a more artistic approach to it. But now I think it's time I show you the tank now that it's all cleared up. So here's the tank after about 3 to 4 hours with the filter turned on. You can see that the water's cleared up really nicely now and it's crystal clear. I'm really happy with how the scape's turned out. It's nice and clean and modern looking as well, which is quite different from most aquascapes I've seen so far. It's a very eye-catching aquascape when you look at it compared to my jungle aquascape or my fishbowl aquascape, which is a nice change as it gives you something different to look at. I've never set up a biotope aquarium before, but it's something I think I want to do more often. I really would like to set up like an Asian kind of style biotope for betters maybe. So for now I'm going to try and let this tank get a little bit more established before I add any fish to it. Even though I've instantly cycled this aquarium by using gold filter media, I just want to keep an eye on the water parameters just to see how they turn out. I'm going to monitor the water parameters for about 2 weeks just to make sure that everything's safe for the fish. Hopefully the first Stiphodon species I should be getting is some Stiphodon Atroporeus. So keep an eye on the channel as I'll be posting a video when I add these fish to the tank. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more updates from this aquascape, please subscribe to the channel. I've also made a Patreon account, so if you want to help support the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you sign up for it. I'll leave a link in the description below.